Hey Kim, I have this incredibly unpleasant sense of dissatisfaction because I feel I must fulfill my potential, and I know it's a lot of unfulfilled potential. I don't know in which direction to go, but now I feel like I can actually do it. I have the energy and desire to do it. The problem is that I don't know what to do. Well, you're basically describing my life before I found Ascended Master Teachings. Because I also, even though I'd found a spiritual path, I was in my first spiritual movement, but I still didn't have a clear sense of what I'm here to do. And what I have gained by following Ascended Master Teachings is several things. First of all, my ultimate goal in life is to qualify for my ascension. Which really means overcoming all attachments, all of these subconscious selves that I'm always talking about. But then on a more immediate level, my goal is also to fulfill my divine plan. As I've talked about in several videos, we have a life plan. I have 2 breakthrough videos where I talk about the life plan. And so this has given me a different motivation that I had before I found Ascended Master Teachings, where I kind of had difficulty balancing the spiritual aspect of life with the practical. It's so easy to withdraw from the world and want to live in a spiritual setting where you're only doing spiritual activities. That's how I felt when I was younger. And then with the Ascended Master Teachings, I started realizing that practical things in the world are very much part of my divine plan, part of my life plan. And so I didn't have as much of a conflict between the two, because I see that it all fits together. It's all part of the growth, because even dealing with practical things is also part of my growth in consciousness and resolving psychology, because when I look at my reaction to practical things, I can resolve psychology. So, but the other thing I would say is that I was also very eager, and I wanted to do something. I wanted to make a difference. I wanted my life to be worthwhile, to mean something. And I remember in the beginning, part of what I was thinking when I first heard about this concept of a divine plan, I was hoping that one day I would have this breakthrough, this epiphany, where I would see in glorious technicolor my divine plan laid out for me for the rest of my life. And I could just follow it. But I've realized since that that's just not the way it works. You are not going to see it all at once. You are going to see it in stages. So basically you could say what you are going to see is the next step, or maybe a couple of steps ahead. And then when you start moving towards that goal, and you have starting to fulfill that goal, you'll see more. So it's never like you see that far ahead. And that's why, I understand this feeling, because I had it myself and I've seen it with other people. I want to fulfill my potential, but I don't know in which direction to go. You have to start somewhere. You have to break that. Because this is, in a sense, it's a paralysis that the fallen beings and your ego and your subconscious self, they want to put you in limbo, and you can stay there for the rest of your lifetime. I've even seen people who are spiritual who are saying, oh, I just need to meditate for the rest of my life, or I need to give decrees and invocations for the rest of my life, and then everything will work out. So they just do that, and they don't dare to take a decisive step in a certain direction. So there's a very old analogy, I might have used it before, but anyway, it is that if you take a tire, a car tire, and you stand it upright on the ground, if you hit it on one side, it's going to fall over. But if the tire is rolling and you hit it on one side, it's just going to change direction. So the point for this is that you have to start moving. With whatever awareness you have right now, you have to start moving. And then once you are moving, you will get clearer inner directions as to which direction to go in. But as long as you are standing still, waiting for a booming voice from heaven to tell you what to do, you can stay there in that limbo for the rest of your life. And so whatever vision you have right now, whatever you can see, you have to pursue that. If you don't have any vision at all, you make a decision. You do something. You go in some kind of direction. You either join a spiritual movement, decide to study and practice a certain teaching, you decide to get a certain job, do certain things in life. You need to do something. Because as long as you're standing there, as I'm saying, waiting, it's like you have a car, right? And you're saying, I'm anxious to start my life plan. I've gassed up the car, I've started the engine, it's idling, I can push the gas pedal and I can hear it's ready to go. But you haven't put it in gear. So that's what you have to do. You have to start moving in whatever direction you can see. And then there's two aspects of this. You start doing something, but then you are willing to look at the feedback you get. And the feedback you get is from two sources, from the outside and it's from your own psychology. So first you can say, what reactionary patterns do I have come up in my mind? How am I reacting to what's happening? And then you work on that, because this is part of your divine plan. You work on your psychology. But then you also look at the feedback you get from the outside world, from other people. Is what you're doing working? Could you learn something? Do you need to learn something? Do you need to adjust? Do you need to adapt to the feedback you're getting? I see many spiritual people, and I see myself when I was younger also. You have this unrealistic hope and expectation that when you do something spiritual, the practical aspects of your life are just going to work out. It's just going to take care of itself. You're going to find that perfect job, or money is going to fall in your lap, or you're just going to make money on this wonderful multi-level marketing scheme that you heard about, and all these kind of things. So I've seen over the years, spiritual people can be very naive, and they basically think that we think that when we are being spiritual and we are doing our spiritual practice and we are in the spiritual teaching, we don't really have to look at the practical things. Do I need to learn something? Do I need to adapt? Do I need to get better at talking to people or doing my job or whatever? We think that should just all work itself out. And I've seen many, many people who they're getting feedback from the outside that relates to their psychology, but they refuse to look at it. I say, oh, no, I don't need to look at that. I just need to meditate, or I just need to give my decrees. Just need to prostrate myself on the floor 10,000 times, and all these kind of things. So it's like people can become very unrealistic and unwilling to actually look at what is the outer situation telling me about how I need to change, how I need to adapt, because this relates to psychology. How do you change? By overcoming psychology. But if you're not willing to look at the feedback you're getting, how will you know what to deal with? And I've seen many, many people who can stand as spiritual people. You know, they think they're doing all the right things spiritually. And maybe they are, but they're not doing the right things practically. So you have to be willing to experiment, and you don't have to do anything, but I'm just saying, for me, it's always been this. The universe is a feedback machine. Everything you do gives you feedback on yourself and your psychology. But if you're not willing to look at the feedback, even though you may be moving, you're not seeing the next steps of your divine plan, because in order to see those steps, you have to overcome the psychology that's being exposed by what you're doing right now. So you are moving, but you're not moving as fast as you can, and you're not getting the direction. You may be moving in some direction, but because you are not haven't resolved the psychology, you can't see how to change direction and go in a new direction. So it's really, I mean, I understand the sense that you can feel like you're stuck, you're not really there, but I'm just saying, you are the one who has to break it, because you're in a sense the one who put yourself in that situation with how you've approached the spiritual path and psychology so far.